welcome. And greetings and salutations as always. And welcome to the Logic Lounge with Fleazy Jones. That's me, episode 89. Right, Bree, this is huge. I am so grateful. Brought to you by my good brother, the legend, the General Block Legend 7. For one, y'all hear the smooth tunes in the background right now. 89. It's like you gotta keep trying, right? You gotta keep topping yourself when you're moving a certain way. And I cannot express my gratitude for the people that give me a chance to talk to them. And that is just a piece of what I got to say about my guest tonight. The guest I have tonight is San Jose, California's own Cedes. This young lady, for one, her music is smooth as shit. I love the energy behind her music. I love the energy behind her. This young lady has been writing music since the 5th grade, started in poetry, and then decided to give us these beautiful tunes that we hear now. I always ask my guests, what's an interesting thing about them? You know what she told me? She loves to box. She already has a beautiful soul, beautiful spirit. She's militant, believe it or not. The promo I use for this show tonight, go back and listen to it. I shouldn't even have to say it. There's a lot of people that don't have the nerve to speak on truly what they feel or the nerve to even be who they are in front of the world. This lady is that and 10 times more. I'm not going to waste time with a long introduction, man. I'm going to bring this young lady up because I want to pick her brain and extract some knowledge. So come on up.
People tell them come through. And
What?
he has entered the
In the flesh.
Let me tell you something, man. I have to start off giving roses because I sent you a voice message earlier today,
Hmm?
and I do that with majority of my guests because we are living in very weird times, and there are a lot of weird people. So when people accept the invitation via DM, I take that to heart in the most passionate way possible because I'm grateful because you don't know who's who. Because even you ask like, "Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Hey man, how you know my page, man? You know what I mean? How you know? I was like, yo, shouts out to DJ Ice Mike, man. I seen you there,
Yep.
good dude. And I'm from there, I'm researching. I'm like, yo, I can hear as an artist myself, I can hear when a person is putting their self in their music
Mm-hmm.
automatically attracts me to that person because that takes a lot. Again, going off the fact that we are living in some weird ass times, DRE.
This is true.
So
Yeah.
to share yourself to people that in most situations are they're gonna talk shit before they give you flowers.
Yep.
That's
For
just the
sure.
fact of the matter. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk shit before they give you flowers. So thank you for allowing me to extract knowledge from you today on the Logic Lounge. And I'm gonna kick it off with how are you doing on this Wednesday? It's hump day. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. I feel good. I was at work and I've been looking forward to this all day. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm pretty chill. I'm relaxing. I was watching Game of Thrones. I
Okay.
was watching an episode of Game of Thrones and I'm just chilling. I'm good. I'm hanging out and I'm happy to be here with you.
Man, I appreciate you being here, man. We're gonna get right into it. You've been in how long have you been in music? I understand since the 5th grade you
Mm-hmm.
have been into writing. You started off with the beautiful world of poetry. So
Mm-hmm.
how long have you been into the music field and how did we get you into the music?
Yeah, I mean, mean, I've always been a really avid fan of music. It was always just such a huge part of my upbringing. I'm the youngest of four. So my older sister, Marissa, actually, I remember we would be at the house. So there's my oldest sister, Veronica, and then Marissa, and then my brother, Daniel. And my sister, Marissa, she would listen to the game, the documentary. And like E40, she would have all her CDs and stuff. So like she would pop them in or whatever. And this is kind of just what I'm listening to, what I'm hearing. And I've always just been a really, really big fan of music, like for as long as I can remember. I would even like shower with Michael Jackson's CD. I had a Hello Kitty radio like when I was in elementary
Yeah,
school, and I would pop in Michael Jackson's Thriller, and I love music. I love dancing. I'm not a good dancer, but I like it, right? And
yeah,
so, fast forward, I was at the University of San Francisco. I remember having this moment where I was seeing the craziness with the internet, and what people were willing to do to try to get people's attention and to try to capitalize on that, even if it meant, doing something like punking someone, or doing something really negative just to try to get people's attention. And some of these people who were doing that were also Mexican rappers like Takashi 69, Mexican American rappers. And I remember being in school, being in college, and just thinking, I don't like seeing that. I didn't, just because it felt like what my community was being represented as in music was not a good image. It wasn't something that I felt represented me. And so I was looking outside of myself, seeing all this craziness, all the clout chasing, and seeing like the Mexican flag, and it made me feel like, well, why don't I try to do something? Like, why can't I do it? Um, and I went home and I started going on YouTube, and I started finding beats, and I would hang out with my friends, and we would all just freestyle. And my friends, a couple of them would tell me, they would be like, hey, you're pretty good. And I mean, it makes sense because of writing poetry for so long. It was like I kind of had like that exposure, that knack to just be able to put a scheme together,
yeah.
like a
You
rhyme scheme.
understood format as well. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And so they were like, you're pretty good at it. Like, you should do it. And so I was like, well, don't tell me that, because now I'm going to do now I'm going to do it.
yeah.
And so I did. And I started, what I would do originally was just the way that I have my phone like this. I would come home from school and I would just start busting raps on the camera, and I would upload them on Instagram. And my friends liked it. The people that I worked with at the time, I was working at City Sports over in San Francisco, and they were messing with it. And I was like, I'm gonna just keep doing this because I like it, I enjoy it. And then I had a friend who was also doing music, and he put me onto his boy's studio. So in 2019, I had released my first song, which was called Butter, because my flow was smooth as butter, I
I
guess,
agree.
and that's what I'm gonna call it. And so that's where it started, just looking outside of myself and seeing others doing music, and what they were representing, and feeling like, okay, well, I want to represent for my community, and what I believe in.
Yeah. And I actually want to shine a light on that because that's what stuck out to me more than anything. You are so about the Hispanic culture. So I would like to know, and this is no disrespect intended with this question. Any question I ask you is just truly because I want to know. I find people's stories interesting and I love a good story. Why is culture so important?
Ooh. Well, I would say, I mean, I would start with talking about what culture is. I think culture is tradition. Culture is who you are and what you do repeatedly over long periods of time. So I would say that's what culture is to me, and it's so important because it's kind of like almost like a radio, and like you broadcast signals.
Absolutely.
And like when you're in the car, right, and you're like changing the station, people don't really listen to the radio that much anymore with streaming. But when you're in the car and you say you're turning and you're trying to find a station, sometimes you get static and you're picking up on static. So I feel like culture is really important because it sends a message about what you believe and what you represent. So if you're someone who is consistently talking about how all men are terrible or all women are terrible, there's no more good women, there's no more good men. If you're saying those kinds of things repeatedly, I think that kind of says something about yourself. So I would say culture is really important to me because it kind of shows people what I'm about, and what I'm about is my community, is my family, and restoring our faith in humanity. Like just having human connections, being empathetic towards one another, and that we're all going through some kind of a struggle, whether or not people want to acknowledge it because of different backgrounds or different cultures. But at the end of the day, I mean, we all do want the same thing, right? Which is, I mean, the pursuit of
Yeah.
happiness. So I think that, yeah, yeah, I'll stop there.
You know, please, well, like I said earlier, man, shouts out to my brother Block Legend 7, who has assisted me on building a platform where people can be themselves. That's why I call it the lounge. It's about, I
Mm,
want you to be able to tell your story, how you want to tell it. There's no judgment here. If something runs on, you run that shit on.
right
You
on.
run it. You run it. But if you stop, I love it because I can see you're adamant about it. I can
Mm,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And I even see the growth from what I've researched. And of course, please don't do his research. This is what I was just able to find. I
Okay, okay.
have I am Dre
Oh yeah.
in 2021, which in my opinion was like a breakout. Hey, fuck you, I'm here. What's up? We have
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's
Ver-
crazy. That's exactly what that
Oh,
was.
yo, I listen. I am a lover of the art. I've been in the game for 20 plus years. I have a different ear. I have a different ear, the same ear you have. That's why I'm able to. Okay, I can see what she's on. Because then
Yeah.
I see 2022 Virgo's mix. That was
Yes.
kind of like, I'm feeling this. I'm here now. You know what I mean? I'm kind of moving my shoulders with it. I still
Yeah.
got some cockiness to it. Don't fuck with me, babe. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. It's all good because we all know how Virgos get out. Virgos do not play. My nephew's the
No.
Virgo. I know this firsthand. They do not play. Here is one I cannot lie. Now here's a fleazy fan.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Cedes, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was straight up cocky. Bring that ass here, shorty. You look good. Let me come over here with it. Felt like you were like in your glow at that point. The confidence was at an all time high. You hollering at the baddest shorties. You letting them know bring that ass here was cracking.
Was good.
Now I saved the best for last. Closer, which
Yeah.
is this year,
Mm-hmm.
to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because that's what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
To me, closer shows the maturity, and closer to me is, in my opinion, the most personal project. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the way you wasn't just the other songs on the other EPs, right? They could be broad, right? They could go for anyone. You know what I mean? Closer. I feel like you were speaking to someone, even if it's not a particular person. It was almost like it was directed for someone. So I have to ask, where were you when
Yeah.
you were creating the EP Close?
Ooh,
Close.
man. You know what? Okay, so that you really hit all of that on the head. I feel like I Am Dre was like my breakout, like, okay. And I titled it that for that reason too. Like I am the affirmation, like I am everything. I am, all these things, right? Affirmations. I was like, I'm gonna let people know who I am. Like this is who I am, this is my name. I am Dre. And then there was Virgo's Mix, which I felt like was me trying to do something a little bit different than I Am Dre. I think I Am Dre was kind of like old school, kind of like boom bap, if you will,
Yeah,
like those type of,
it
of beats,
was. Yeah,
that
it was.
sound.
I agree. I didn't think of that, but yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, let me try to express myself a little bit more creatively. And so Virgo's Mix came around, and then it was Queen Sadie's, and I was trying to get in my West Coast, my bag right there, just spit some bars, and it was good. I really loved that EP. And then Closer all started with the single, which was Energy, that I did with my boy BP the Official, who actually produced the whole EP except for one song.
Oh,
So that's my boy right there, and he
that's
does
up.
all my hmm and he does all my music videos and everything. So he is like an amazing, beautiful soul who's so helpful. I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but shout out to BP. I think he was here earlier.
Mhm.
Um, and so it started with Energy. I remember I pulled up on him at the studio, and I was like feeling not nervous or anxious, but kind of like a little unsure, a little excited at the idea of being unsure because I was at the studio and I had no plans. Usually, when I would go to the studio, I would have the beats selected, the song would be written, because if I was paying for the studio time, I didn't want to like be messing around. I was like, okay, I got like a 3-4 hour block. I need to get these songs, I need to get them off, because if I don't, then I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna reschedule this, that, and the other. So he had told me a couple of times, because he recorded Virgo's Mix with me,
Oh,
and some of Queen Sadie's, but not
okay.
all of it. Um, and so he knew that like that was what I would do. Like I would always come to the studio with like everything was already pre-selected. I had already written the songs like in the privacy of my room, just the way that I would do poetry, like in the privacy of my room, I would write. And he would always talk about like, like you should try writing a song from scratch like one of these days. And I always told him, I was like, be like, I've never done that before. I don't know. And he'd be like, don't worry, like don't even trip about it. Like just one of these days we'll do something like that. And so fast forward, so much time had passed, and I pulled up on him, and I was feeling kind of, I was feeling good. I was feeling like, you know what it felt like? It felt like Phil Collins, like in the air tonight, like when the drums are coming, like I
Yeah.
can feel it. I felt like that a little bit, just in the sense of like the uncertainty.
Mhm.
And so I remember I was eating something and I was like, B, why don't we just do something like, let's do something from scratch today. And so he was like, let's do it. Come on. So he pulled up his stuff and we started pulling out different like samples. And so we started with the sample, and that's when we started building it up. So the song, it was Energy. And I remember it was like, he pulled out the first sample and I was like, that's the one. That's the one for sure. And so he's building it up, right? And I'm kind of just like walking around, feeling good. And I was like, I like this. And then it was Energy. The song is Energy. And I was like, I don't want no enemies. Shawty got that energy. Be a friend of me. I got so excited. I was like, we need to record immediately. Like, we need to get this down, because otherwise, I don't want to forget, right?
Mhm.
Just feeling in the moment. And
Yeah.
so I put on the headphones and we just started recording from there. And I loved it so much. And I loved the entire vibe of the song Energy. It was giving me like tropical summer vibes. And
Yeah.
so we had dropped
Definitely a summer EP. The whole EP is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had dropped that single. We were feeling the song so tough, like both me and him, and I was like, "You need to get on this song." And he was like, "All right, like, are you sure?" And I was like, "Of course." My boy PP, he's signed to Empire Records right now, so I was like, "You
So,
playing? What do you mean? Like, you gotta be on the song." And so he gets on the song, he does his verse, and we were just golden from there. We had released it, time went on, and I work with BP like a lot. Like I'm always going out there and working with him. And I just started to record a bunch of other different songs, and I started to think, I was like, this needs to be like, I need to come out with another project. Um, and so I say all of that to say that it started with Energy, giving that tropical vibe, that tropical feeling, and me recording these other songs afterwards and being like, okay, I want to put all of this together in an album. and we had taken those other songs that I recorded, and BP actually he remade the beat
Mhm.
to all of them except for one. And so he is just he's so amazing. Like he took what I did and just made it even better. Like the way that he produced those records really just took it from, yeah, this sounds good to this is original. This is one of one. And so Change is an example of that, and so is Closer. Hmm.
Close
Yeah.
is my favorite, but Change is what made me feel like this is personal. What's your
Hmm.
priorities? Why are you ignoring me? You
Hmm.
acting different.
You
I'm
are.
like, damn, like, yo, this is
Mhm.
personal. You know what I mean? To share yourself and your music, I will always give the roses to because you don't know what's real in music. A lot of people speak so many lies, man. I'm just attracted to the ones that I know are really talking their shit. So am I getting this right? It wasn't more of a personal thing, more so than just a feeling. You took your feeling and you
Hmm.
just went with it. And that's how we got the EP.
I would say it's a little bit of both. I took the feeling and I just went with it. So what I've learned throughout the process of like from I Am Dre up until now is that when I'm writing, I try to follow like three basic principles. So one I took from Prince. So Prince was saying that if you allow yourself, the song will write itself. The song wants to be written. So you allow the song to write itself. Don't get in the way, right? So I was like, okay, I need to practice that, one. And then two, I grabbed from Brian Cox, and he was saying that oftentimes the greatest records they ever wrote were from having fun. So I was like, okay, allow the song to write itself, have fun. And then the third I took from my mentor, Eddie Kane in Houston, and he was telling me to be vulnerable, like be yourself. Don't try to imitate anyone else, just be yourself. So when that song Changed was originally written to a different track, but I had been obsessing over it for so long, just listening to the production over and over and over and over again until I finally decided, okay, let me, I had the courage to bring it to the studio and try to do something in front of, other people, which can be kind of nerve wracking sometimes, which is why I try to follow those three guidelines because it helps me be in the moment and not think about like other people's perception. So,
Mm.
mind you, my girlfriend actually was there with me when I recorded it. So I put on the headphones and she's there and I'm listening to the song and I'm like, okay, just what am I feeling? Like what am I being told right now? And I was like, what's your priorities? Why are you ignoring me? You've been so distant. You acting different. And it just all sort of came together in that moment, like as if like water from a faucet, you just turn it on. And I remember also feeling a little nervous because she was there and I was like, what am I even saying right now? And like, who is this about?
I like
Right?
that honest. I
I'm
like
like,
that.
oh my God. But then I had to, I had to check my thoughts because I'm like, you're writing, like this is a creative process and you're trying to tell a story right now. So some of it is my own personal experiences, and also a lot of it is me as a writer trying to tell a story that I think is relevant, that I've also experienced, and that other people can relate to, you know?
I love it. I love it. Now, you guys see how her answer, how she brings you all the way to the forefront. With that said, I want to talk about the promo. Oh, I looked for that song and I couldn't.
Which one?
The one that I used right at the beginning of the promo, where you say, ain't shit funny when your country's funding killing kids. Where
That
is it?
song isn't
I don't
released yet.
have a
Yeah.
mic. I dropped the water bottle, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You have a militant spirit. So
Thank
I
you.
have a personal question for you that I believe those who are fans of your music, these are questions that I feel people are not going to ask. So I'm going to ask Dre Sadie a
Yes,
question
sir.
myself. When it comes to the state of our nation, which is, I don't even know how to honestly describe it in a positive manner,
Mm-hmm.
what do you feel that should be done different to change the state of our nation?
That's such a big question. I got a lot of books right here. My laptop that I got the phone on
Hmm.
is on a stack of books.
That's a
So
good
I
thing. And
yeah, so I had gone to I guess I'll call it like a gathering for the Socialist Party, for well the Party for Socialism and Liberation, the PSL party. And so um one of the members had given me this book, and it's called Socialist Reconstruction: A Better Future for the United States. And I think that like in meeting with him and meeting with the party, and doing things like that, I and seeing how the nation is right now and how divided people are, or at least it appears to be, because I don't know, in my personal experience, when I go out into communities, people, unless like they're protected by like a big group of people, oftentimes I don't think people are as like audacious to really be foul in or racist in that way, unless they feel um like they might have people behind them to protect them.
talk
So
about it.
yeah, you
Talk
know
about it.
um so what I would say, um what was the question again? Sorry.
What would you think? What is some of the things that you feel need to be done in order to change the state of the nation? Because you hit it on the head.
Yeah.
Separation, it's like it's the true advocate of hatred going on right now. They call it the year of exposure, which there's some truth to that, but I feel it's more hatred than anything. Everything
Mhm.
is advocating hate and separation, even down to the personal communities. You know what I mean? I love everybody. I
Mhm.
do not care what you do on your personal time. But when you start pushing narratives and then trying to push people against each other on top of these narratives, now what are we doing? What are we doing? So when I saw that reel, I instantly pulled it. I was, oh, we're going to talk about this because
Yeah.
these are the things like I feel people shy away from. They're afraid to have the uncomfortable conversations because most of those people, like you say, are filled with hate. And if they don't have people around them, they really don't have much to say. They
Mhm.
really don't. But you spoke on it and you meant it.
Yeah.
How you trying to justify genocide?
How do you,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I wanted to know, what do you feel are some of the things that can be done in order to change the vision that has been built on our nation as of late?
Off the bat, I feel like community service, or like just being with people and realizing that we're all human, and seeing each other's humanity. I think with the internet, I feel that a lot of people dehumanize each other.
Like,
Or I've experienced being dehumanized on the internet. Like even when I posted that clip like on YouTube, there are there's no shortage of people who have said crazy things about me because they don't see me as a person, right? Like I'm just some
yeah,
character that they're
yeah.
viewing on their phone, which makes me less of a woman, which makes me less of a human. So I would say getting into our communities, I would say doing something like a community service. To go a step further, which I think would cause a lot of like havoc and chaos, I think something like a critical race theory, or like a world history that actually taught world history and not the United States and how the United States conquered the rest of the world.
Hmm.
That's a different perspective of which to learn about the world. So I would start with understanding how we got here, why things are the way they are today, and why they were set up that way. Where does that come from? And those ideologies and stuff like that.
I can tell you are not prepared for that. That's also why I gave you the calm voice memo earlier, because now you know, because this can't be your only time at the lounge. Once you get invited to the lounge, you're always welcome to come back. But I wanted to be that person that would ask the question that no one else would.
Thank
Because
you.
if you're sharing that with us, I
Hmm.
feel like you're telling us, hey, let's talk about it. This
Yeah,
is
no,
a
we should.
part of that right now.
Hmm.
This is a part of what helps.
Hmm.
Two different ethnic backgrounds. We got the same goal. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's the same goal. I
Yeah.
don't have an issue with anybody that is of righteousness. Now
Hmm.
that don't mean a person has to be perfect, because that's just not a thing as far as this realm of existence of being a human. None of us are perfect. But
Hmm.
I just thought that that was so powerful for you to say that and stand on. You
Yeah.
stood 10 toes.
I had to. I had
Yeah.
to. And so I'm not sure if you know this. I don't really think I've like been too vocal about it on Instagram, but I'm in the master's program at San Jose State University for Chicana and Chicano Studies. Um, so that's where I was kind of throwing in the we need to do like a critical race theory. I would like to see some of that in schools, or even just something as like a world history class where we're actually learning about what the United States did across the globe and what does that mean, right? Because there's genocide is not Palestine has become this symbol for liberation, not just in Palestine, but for all peoples who are struggling, who are working for pennies. And it's not just in Palestine, it's in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We could look at Venezuela. We could look at Argentina. We could look at Nicaragua. We could look at, I'm sure, plenty of other countries in Africa too. And you could locate these issues and what do you say? How history repeats itself. And so if people are educated and they know about what was going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo, if people knew what was going on in other parts of the world and how the United States is able to manage um, so much wealth, such an abundance of wealth, but that wealth is only managed by what, like the top 1 to 10% of people, 90% of the wealth owned by 1 to 10% of the people. What does that mean and why? So and then that goes back to being in our communities and seeing each other's humanity because we all want the same thing at the end of the day, which is the opportunity, right? The pursuit to happiness, the opportunity to buy a home. I'm 27 years old, you know, to buy a home in California is something that's I don't want to say out of my reach because I don't want to limit myself, but you know, it's daunting. It's daunting and to know the facts that I just stated, which is that 90% of the wealth is owned by top 1 to 10%. Come on. Like, you mean to tell me there's subsidies for oil? There's subsidies for like killing the planet, right? Yeah, there's subsidies for that 2008, the market crash. There's subsidies for big banks. There's bailouts for big banks. What about bailouts for the people? Regular people. I'm not no celebrity. Like I am who I am. I love myself, and I've chosen to share what I enjoy doing with the world, and I've chosen um, to do music in this way. And I also have a competitive spirit, so you know I want to be consistent with releasing stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm by no means like better than anyone else. And I don't think like I seen something I think it was on TikTok, but one of the congressmen has like $294 million. That's just outrageous. And the people in his state, I would like to know the median average salary for the people in his state, and then compare that with his. Corruption
I,
is real.
in the illest form. I was speaking, and I get the teachers all the time from my brother Block Legend Seven. Shouts out. We've had conversations about one thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Like with the money that is burned all over the nation, not even speaking, we can't even get to the world because we're in this little box. All of this so-called depth, but these, I want I want to choose the right words because I'll go there sometimes. I'll just say this. In a nutshell, I don't believe that there should ever be a such thing as homelessness. And that's just one thing. There should not be a situation where you have your politicians asking homeowners to open their homes to people and y'all have what y'all have. That's crazy. And then there's the people like you, there's the people like me. We're little pawns in this. And we can do only so much. But this is a part of my mission. This is one of the reasons I wanted to speak with you. I say, oh, she's deeper than this music.
Mm-hmm.
There's
I have
more
to.
to her than this music.
Mm-hmm.
That's like this compared to who you really are. But please, I'm sorry, I keep chopping you up.
No
Please go
worries.
ahead.
No, no worries. What up, Clee? That's my boy Clee in the chat.
That's
But it is deep, and that's also my motivation for going back to school to get my master's degree was because I wanted to be able to find a way to bridge these political beliefs of mine, right?
yeah.
Which everything is political, and people need to understand that too, like who you are, where you come from, your community, all of that is a part of politics. So when people say, oh, I'm not political or I don't do politics, that's political.
Mhm.
Um so my motivation to go back to school was also partially coming from wanting to be able to take the music and to be able to write about something that was compelling, that was more than just, you know, booty shaking and drinking, which is fun. That's fun. But there's
Yeah.
also a lot of other stuff too that's going on that also, like, that I feel compelled to talk about. And so the producer who had done Queen Cedes for me, he had sent me another beat pack, and I was feeling like I wanted to write, like I wanted to, to record. And so I was sitting here at this desk looking at my laptop, and I had loaded up the tracks. And I had loaded up the track, and I just couldn't, because of everything that I was seeing on the news,
Yeah.
on my phone, all of the death and the genocide, the erasure of a people. For what? These claims? That's a sticky situation, to say the least. And I remember just sitting here being so frustrated and feeling like, how could I say anything else other than what's on my mind, which is, how can you try and justify this? There is no justification for genocide. And so I was thinking that in my head, and I was like, that's it. Like, that's what I'm gonna say. So I was like, how you try and justify a genocide? It just really blows my mind. So I gotta get my mind right. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It takes, and I did not know your age. I was raised old school. You never ask a lady your age, and when you do it with the utmost respect. But to know you're 27, damn, and
Yeah.
where your mind is, the things you think about, the actions you're taking,
Hmm.
I knew there was something great. I knew it, and you're only letting me know just by having this conversation with you.
Yes.
You just segue into another question.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the artist, and because I feel like I'm speaking to both the artist and the person,
Hmm.
but is there a difference between the two,
Mm.
the artist and the person? And if so, what is the
That is such a good question. I ask myself the same thing. I feel like there's like if it was a pie chart, I feel like 25, I'll say like 25% of it is me. And I think for now, I'm going to say this because who knows, it might change in the future. But the reason I say that is because being so public about writing and music and recording, even doing videos or just being on, on the microphone, you become very susceptible to other people's opinions and judgment. and I've experienced a lot of it. And so it's almost like Dre Cedes is like something else a little bit. But Dre Cedes is also me because my name is Andrea Mercedes. And so Dre Cedes is directly from me and my name. Because I do want to pay homage to myself. But I think with where I'm at right now, I would say that they're separate to protect like my spirit and myself from just other people's judgment because people get crazy on the internet. Like if I post something on IG, usually it's okay, right? Like people don't get too crazy on IG because it goes to my friends and like general community of people.
Yeah.
And they know who I am, so they would never say anything crazy about me in the comments. But if I post something on YouTube and it goes up, right? People don't know me. And so they feel like they can say anything about me. And when I first started, I feel like it would hurt my feelings, to be honest with you. Like just the crazy things that people would say. And I'd be like, they don't even know me. Like, what are you talking about? And so for that reason, I do feel a little dissociated. So I would say that they're different.
That is so Batman, Bruce Wayne.
That's dope. I never thought about it like that.
That's exactly where you're going with it because when you use the word protection, that's when that poked out. And again, you're segueing into there's just something to you, DRE. I like when you said that it's DRE, and I kind of been stuck with that ever since I was doing my research. But how is it? Well, how do you initially deal with the trolls?
Hmm.
Because they are out. So what is a process? I have one better
Okay.
because again, you're militant. How do you keep your mental stability?
Hmm. That's a really good question. I keep my mental stability by remembering that like other people's opinions of me don't make me and they don't break me. I think Deion Sanders said that.
Yeah,
But hmm
yeah.
yeah, so just remembering always remember that there's three types of people. There's those that are in the game, there's those that are on the sidelines watching, waiting for their turn, and then there's those people that are in the stands just watching, eating popcorn.
Doing nothing.
That's not me.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how I keep my sanity is just remembering that these people that are saying, the people that say and talk shit and tell me that I look like this and I sound like that and I'm terrible and I suck and you should stop. What are you doing? What are they doing? That's what I always remember. And that's really what keeps me sane is like, okay, well, what are you doing, Twitter fingers?
Talk that shit. You you uplift a lot, even when you're spitting game to a fine one in your music. You talk about goals, you talk about ambition, you talk about action doings.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this could be the artist or the person that answered it.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have I and a shout out to my brother again, Block Legend 7. We are all about the youth. So I'm gonna ask, what advice would you give to a young individual that's having trouble with completely being who they are?
Mm. Someone who has trouble with being completely who they are, I would initially ask like why? Where does that come from? Is it a person? Is it a group of people? Is it your own fear? If it is your own fear, what are you afraid of? And what's the alternative? That's always what I think. Like, okay, well, like before I actually joined the boxing gym, like I told you an interesting thing about me, I was
Mhm.
sitting on my phone. I was like, what's interesting about me? I was like, okay, well, I like to box. I'll tell them I like to box, right? So I've been doing boxing. I've done personal training sessions for like a couple years, but it was just one on one, right? And eventually, my coach, he was like, "Why don't you join the gym?" And I said yes, but inside I was like, "Oh my God, I'm scared."
Yeah.
And so I remember going the first time to the boxing gym and feeling a little nervous, feeling a little scared. But it's like the alternative would mean that the thing that always like kind of called my spirit, which was boxing,
Yeah.
um, if I was too scared to do that and to be myself and to go after the thing that was kind of calling my name like a magnet, you know, like magnets just kind of click. If I never did that and I allowed myself, I allowed my fear to make decisions for me, then I would be haunted for the rest of my life just thinking about, well, what if I did go to the boxing gym? What if I did sign up? What if I did go to one class, even if I felt uncomfortable and I didn't know anybody and I was worried about looking stupid?
Yeah.
Okay, so say I don't go and I'm comfortable and I'm in my room or whatever and I just go to 24-hour fitness and I don't worry about, you know, people looking at me because everybody's just focused on their own workouts.
Yeah.
Say I let my fear rule me and I don't go. I'd be haunted. I'd go to bed, or I would either go to bed and I would think about it, or I would have daydreams about it, and then I would be 40 or 50 or 60 years old and I'd think I should have done it. So I think for me, what I would tell a young person who's scared to be themselves is if you're the only thing holding you back is yourself, then you have to think about like what is the alternative? You're just gonna succumb to your fears. Either you're gonna do it and do it scared, or you're gonna do it and you're gonna regret not doing it. So either you do it and you do it scared, or you don't do it and you're gonna regret it. At least if you do it, you know that you tried, and you could be like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, but at least you know that you tried. I'd much rather take that. And I think we could both as humans be a lot more like relieved to know that at least you went out there and you tried.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
work out. And that's okay. Nobody's
Yeah.
gonna remember. Nobody really cares that much. There's so much going on every day at every moment. It's really not that big of a deal.
That's facts. That's 27 talking this shit. 27. That excites me so much because that gives me hope for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be the only one. You can't be. So that meeting you gives me that hope that there's other DREs out here that's like, yo, I'm gonna do what I can
Mm-hmm.
to bring certain awareness in
Mm-hmm.
order to, because if we don't mold it ourselves, man, depending on the ones with the power
Yeah.
is just a, it's like fish in a barrel full of piranha.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
leadership. We need leadership.
And it's like this. I feel like the state of the nation, even right now, and I'm one of those. I'm not political, and I only say that because I choose not to
Mm-hmm.
because of the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
now it's getting to a point right now, man. We're in some crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in my opinion, the scariest election that I've ever had to witness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just it's good that we have somebody else, you, that
Thank
thinks.
you.
So I salute you. And of course, yes, it is. As the legendary Block Legend 7 asks, is your music on Spotify? Oh yeah, I'm Apple Music, so I got it. Yeah,
I got Spotify
yeah.
Block Legend 7.
You know what I
All
mean?
you gotta do is
I
put my name and I'll pop right up. DRE Cedes.
Sadie.
Cedes. Stray
And
Cedes.
it is worth a listen, man. As we wrap up, man, I want to ask again, as the artist,
Mm-hmm.
what message are you trying to put out when it comes to your music?
Man, you nailed it on the head. Having goals and having ambitions, being someone who stands for something, who believes in something, and has integrity. Like, not to be an individual who is a fraud, a sellout, just doing and saying things because they think it's going to get them likes and they think it's going to get them views. To me, that's what it means to be a fraud, is to just say whatever because you think it works or you think that people are going to like you because of it. So I would say, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I love,
I
what
was about to do
message? Yeah,
the Jewish, and I was like, wait.
I'm only laughing because I relate. I
Yeah.
was asking, what is the message in Dre
Oh,
Sadie's music?
yeah, to be yourself. To be yourself, man. Love yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be like everybody else just because you think that that's what's in or that's what works. Be who you are, even if it's a little weird. As long as you're not hurting anybody, be yourself. Set yourself some goals, have some ambition. Know that you might not feel the greatest every single day, but that's besides the point. Sometimes, the seasons change and you're gonna have to change along with it, but do not like, be uncompromised, be unrelenting when it comes to staying dedicated and staying true to who you said you wanted to be, and what that looks like.
Listen, are you sure you human or are you built of Teflon? You could tell me. You could tell me in the Fleazy Jones community. We're pretty cool people. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it, but I have to say I don't fully believe you because I love any time someone in your age range has more of a positive mindset. They Nowadays it's more popular to speak about killings, speak about listen, I'm a city of Chicago born and raised. I don't have a problem with speaking about the past if you had to hustle to get to the next level, but it was never fun talking about taking other people's lives where I come from. And I come from a rugged background. So now that it's so popular that that's the thing, some of your best artists, or I'll say best artists,
Mhm.
are speaking of the most heinous acts and they got the most money. So when I find the Dre Mercedes, when I find anybody that's like you, I'm going to pull them as quick as I can. As quick as I can, because we have to protect you guys. We have to. We absolutely have to protect you because there are some people that don't even know you're out here.
Yeah, and
They
that's
don't know. They
And
need
that's what
to.
I'm also saying about consistency too, and that little bit of dissociation where it's like, okay, people can say crazy things, but who knows? Like, maybe the next video, I'll find 10 people who will be like, oh, we like her, like, we like what she's saying, and that's what matters. That
Yeah.
matters. Every single person.
Yeah. It does. It does. Well, no, you're going to get it from me. My final question of the evening. I'm so grateful for this song. I always ask this because I'm just curious.
Mhm.
When it comes to Dre say, what is the end goal?
Ooh. The end goal, I'll be honest with you, and I've never said this out loud to anybody, but my end goal would be to change the paradigm of which that the earth operates on. My goal would be to awaken a bunch of people, to create a critical mass, to change how we energize ourselves, the community, our neighborhoods. I would love to see the world just go green and stop drilling for oil and all this crazy stuff. I understand, oil, maybe not get rid of it completely, but saving our planet. That's what the end goal is for me, is to help pioneer protection for Mother Earth, because, I mean, without it, man, what are we going to do? We can't have music then.
Listen to me, Dre. My brother slash manager, Block Legend 7 can vouch. My best friend, Shot Nikki can vouch. Shouts out to Alicia. Shouts out to Nene. That answer has never been said on the land.
Yeah,
Ever.
I bet. Yeah.
Ever. That was powerful, bro.
Thank you. I'm trying to
That was
be there.
powerful. Yeah.
And
And you
people need to
mean it.
know. People
Yeah.
need to know that there's other options. Because there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of money. And I think that goes back into humanizing each other and just trying to create a world where we help each other out and instead of just consuming and consuming and consuming. Um, Kind of like the Matrix, like that the robot in the Matrix that
Yeah.
sucks everybody up. Yeah. Hmm.
Y'all, Dre just made my 89th episode. Shit with no toilet paper. Like this.
Like episode.
If you are not following this lovely young lady, I need you to. Need you to check out all of her music, Apple Music, Spotify. Go to her YouTube. It's Dre Cedes. You will see her on
Yep.
my page. You're gonna see her on YouTube once I send this to the editing team and chop it up. This lady is amazing, and her brain is double that. I listen. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming to the
you.
lounge tonight. The pleasure is all mine, man. This was a beautiful talk. I want to have more of this. We will be watching as
Hmm.
we want to see what's next for Dre because I know it's a lot in store. But before we leave, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Thank you for having me. Shout out to DJ Ice Mike, who I think was the one who put it
Linked us up.
together, who made
He
the
did.
connected the dots. Shout out to Block Legend 7. Appreciate everybody in the chat and connect with me. I'd love to talk more. If y'all want to shoot me a DM, I'm always available. And hopefully I can go back soon.
Oh, hopefully too. It's just all about the dates. I'm gonna be on it.
Yeah.
Dre, what's going on? It's gonna be me in the DM. What's happening, man? What's up? Man, I ain't seeing nothing. What's cracking, man?
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? I needed. Is the family cool? Tell me something. Tell me
What's going
something.
on?
Exactly. We love it, man. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Logic Lounge with Sleazy Jones. That's me. Episode 89 with Dre Cedes.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Brought to you by the lovely brother Block Legend 7. Hope
Woo woo.
everyone has a wonderful week, rest of your week, great
Definitely.
weekend, be safe, and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Dre, I'm going to end it how I always I tell them, living off good instinct counts.
Yes.
Always keep your life.
Got
They say,
you.
oh, she just peeped. It was an acronym. I like that. I get them every
Ooh,
time, y'all. Every
dang.
time I get them. That's why I made it the end part. She looked like, that's
Oh,
what logic means.
yeah.
Living off good instinct
Dang.
count.
You got me. Okay. Wow. That's dope. I like that.
You're dope.
Okay.
We love y'all. See you next week. Peace.
Love everybody. This is
Deuces.